Blue states take funds from disabled Americans to subsidize illegal migrants. Now, this is unacceptable. It's a slap in the face to disabled Americans. It's a slap in the face to Americans in general that they would do something like this. I don't I don't understand why would you take money from uh, uh, some of the most desperate people in our country, some of the most hurt people in our country, and give it to people that came to this country illegally, basically criminals because they broke the law to get into this country. Why do you think that's okay? So we're gonna talk about this. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon where I talk about things I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my merch store. Also, check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for news as well. All right, let's talk about this news. When Illinois lawmakers boast about being a welcoming state, they should consider talking to parents like Susie Redfern. Um, now, in 2019, the Chicago Tribune featured her and her son, Nick, as a illustration of a dysfunctional system failing to meet the needs of individuals with disabilities. Instead of addressing this crisis, the Illinois legislature introduced healthcare programs for undocumented immigrants, leading to skyrocketing costs, while some of the state's most vulnerable citizens still lack access to necessary care. And this situation exemplifies the misplaced priorities of the radical left. Again, this is disgusting, disgusting stuff. So we talk a little bit about the surging enrollment and escalating escalating costs. In 2021, Illinois initiated its first healthcare program for non-citizen residents aged over 65. Subsequent expansions made individuals above 42 eligible for benefits, resulting in a significant increase in enrollees. As of this spring, the number of beneficiaries were growing by 10% each month. As expected, the surging enrollment also brought about escalating costs. Spending estimates increased fivefold in just 3 months, jumping from $220 million in Governor J.B. Pritzker's February budget to, listen to this, $1.1 billion in May. In response to the higher estimates, the Democratic-controlled legislature passed legislation to cap the enrollment and introduce cost sharing for participants. The spiraling enrollment and expenses were unsurprising to those familiar with how generous welfare benefits can act as a pull factor for immigration. In 1993, Hillary Clinton testified before Congress that healthcare benefits should not apply to illegal immigrants to avoid encouraging further illegal immigration. how much you want to bet that her stance on that has changed? But consequently, an Illinois program estimated to cost $2 million just 3 years ago has now ballooned to a budget of $550 million after the enrollment cap was implemented. How do you guesstimate or estimate $2 million and it end up costing you $550 million? I mean, how are you that off? So let's talk about some of the vulnerable citizens left waiting for care. The costs extend beyond the immediate expense of covering illegal migrants. They also affect other state programs lacking sufficient funding, including people like Susie Redfern and her autistic son, Nick. When the Tribune featured their story in late 2019, Nick had already waited for more than 3 years to access the personalized care he required, with the likelihood of waiting even longer. The Redfern story represents an Illinois system where individuals with disabilities can wait over a decade to receive services. This system is so inadequate that the state is still under a consent decree from a federal lawsuit filed nearly 2 decades ago. Susie Redfern expressed the impact of lack of care on her son, which contributed to her sense of helplessness. I mean, it's just really sad what's going on here. And she said she stated, "We don't have any support from anybody on trying to figure this out and getting him moving forward. There just isn't that much I can get going for him, and it's frustrating for me, and I think it is for him too." So there's some misplaced priorities of the left. Parents like Susie Redfern face compounded frustration as an increasing number of blue states expand taxpayer funded health care for undocumented immigrants, leaving individuals with disabilities waiting for years to access developmental care. National statistics reveal that Illinois has over 19,000 individuals with disabilities waiting for care, even as it allocates $550 million this year to cover illegal migrants. California set to spend more than $2 billion on covering all undocumented immigrants starting next year, has nearly 8,000 disabled people on waiting lists. Similarly, Colorado and Oregon allocate taxpayer funds to subsidize care for migrants while making those with disabilities who need in-home care wait for services. Questioning why blue state lawmakers continue to prioritize the demands of law-breaking migrants over the needs of some of our most vulnerable citizens shouldn't be seen as nativists. However, the left seems uninterested in addressing such contradictions. Now, in response to the Illinois legislature's action capping enrollment, the Latino caucus of that body called for expanding health benefits to all non-citizen residents. Their statement argued that the often disenfranchised communities we represent sent us to Springfield to be their voice. We will never turn our backs on them. And parents like Susie Redfern might have a different perspective. I mean, I still don't get it. I always say you have to take care of home first before you go out and try to help other people. And these blue states and these blue cities, they just aren't taking care of home first. They're putting other people's priorities ahead of their own constituents, which is sickening to me. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.